Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS North American Challenger. The Grand Finals is still about to be underway.
We didn't cancel them, just in case any of you were wondering.
We thought about it. We were like, hey, Scarlett, Neeb, you guys still want to play this out? And they're like, yes, because we have
No one gets any money. Let's just not, you know?
I think
not.
We would get the money, right? I'm just kidding.
I'm not ready to implicate myself in whatever scheme you're running here.
But of course, both these players still very much ready to go. In game number one, I think we might be playing on like the Taiwan server. That was actually something that Neeb, who's in Korea,
doesn't get talked about a lot, but the Asia region has two game sites, which is one in Taiwan and there's one in Korea. So you have those two options. And I guess the routing to the Taiwan server is a little bit better for what Scarlett is using.
Probably for Scarlett, yeah. Because it's not nearly as far away, but okay. Here we go, game one. We're moving back onto Acid Plants. Good old Scarlett facing off versus Neeb as a rematch from within the past 12 hours. Both these players might be a little bit tired, but this is a best of 7, and they're in that sense kind of on relatively even footing.
Even footing.
Even footing.
Even footing for your Dragon. As we get into this, the players have loaded in. It's time for the Grand Finals of WCS America Challenger. It's our
Okay.
It's our last one.
Oh, one more. Well, we're going to be starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Top of the red Zerg player from Team Toland's Lions. It is Scarlett. It is the new version of Team Expert, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Kind of like a rebranding, sort of. And then top left, our opponent, our New York American Protoss. He is Neeb. Represented by Team Ting.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so, again, just to reiterate that in the series that these guys played earlier, Scarlett got the 3-0 by playing for these weird builds, and yeah, Neeb clearly has got a little bit of time to kind of digest what happened. It's still also pretty soon that I wouldn't be surprised if
he totally hasn't had enough time to like go over.
He was traveling for half
way.
The time that he was actually able to think about what was happening.
He has definitely not been able to like sit down and grind through those replays and like pick it apart. So
how fast do you think players learn from their tournament mistakes? Because I know there are some players who, as soon as they finish, maybe like 20 minutes later, they just actually spend the rest of the event telling everyone this horrible story about, like, oh man, if I just done this one thing, or if I hadn't, if I just didn't attack.
Fair, that's like a psychological defense mechanic to say that it's just one thing, because that's almost never the case. I think one tiny counter example would be like in the Serral game, the ZVZ yesterday, where like the 4 lurkers were clumped up under the blinding pod, because that game was literally completely even mirror play until that moment. Like then you could say, yeah, that one thing actually did it. But even then, like it's almost always
in defense of that mentality, I think a lot of players, the way that they'll look at the game for improvement, this is actually a good tip that a lot of people usually use to improve their own play. If you're an aspiring player out there, is you kind of look through your game and you look for the first major mistake.
That's what I would lean towards.
In that sense,
I think. Yeah. But most of the time, your first major mistake ends up being something like mechanical or weird while you're microing or doing something else.
Yeah.
But the majority of players that aren't pros, the first major mistake you make in the game is whenever you're controlling a unit on the map. Because then you're like, oh, I'm going to send my Reaper to scout. And then, oh, my command center started like 15 seconds later than it should have. And suddenly you're like, oh, I have enough money to get 2 racks with this build. But you don't actually have enough money. You just floated in.
Got a pretty fast robo as well.
Weird stuff happens.
It was an Adept first that, of course, was moving across the map. But a Stalker follow-up, and it is going to be that robo. So Stargate not going to be coming out. We'll see when Scarlett catches wind of this, because Scarlett didn't move her Overlord over to the kind of, as I know you like to call it, the perv cliff.
That's not what I call it.
Oh, who calls it
that? That's AVEX.
Oh, AVEX. Ah, yeah, sorry, the map name.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah,
no,
okay.
That's just, that spot is how I keep track of who makes which maps and who the Zerg players are.
You know, I think I just saw you using it to AVEX in a tweet or something.
Yeah.
I just assumed
he replied with that, because I'm like, every single map shouldn't have that, but that's a whole different argument.
Well, regardless, Scarlett does not have any Overlords near that kind of area, and you can see that she is very much in the dark, throwing down a Spore Caller right now over in her main base. She hasn't started one at the natural.
I wonder why. I wonder if it has something to do with like a fear of some sort of Stargate opening where she doesn't want to lose everything? Because Stargate opening is like, that's the thing, right?
I think it's a metagame play, right? Because if you are expecting the Stargate opening, and this is the thing that Scarlett always criticizes Neeb for, is that he is a player of habit. And a lot of the time, you will just do the exact same thing over and over and over again.
Look at this.
This game, though.
Probes off gas.
7 gateways being built right now. And 8 gate. He's going up to 10 gateways, Nate.
10 gates.
He is going 10 gate. That is actually not a thing.
Mass Zealot. Because that's all this could be.
Nate, even with
38 probes, 39 calculated.
I don't think 39 probes actually supports 10 gateways worth of zealots.
Grass-fed.
Organic grass-fed.
Protoss builds.
Okay, did he canceled? He canceled. Okay.
He realized that 10 or 11 gates or whatever was going to be a little much.
It's getting early in the morning, guys, for him. You got to give him a little bit of leeway. But because there's no overlords out on the map, and there's not even really a Ling that's going to be scouting out this kind of push out, this is really dangerous. Scarlett did stop at 55 workers, but that is I don't actually know if these 12 roaches popping out are actually going to be enough to hold this on.
Yeah, I mean, really, it'll be the next warp in. I think that starts to get super scary because all the mineral income starts to pay off.
Yep.
It's like, I'm going to add 6 or 7 zealots now, and he does have enough gas. He went back to mining the gas during all this, so he can go for stalkers if he really wants to. Yeah, these can be stalkers.
Yeah,
wouldn't mind a few zealots, but I guess because it's all roaches, it's like, well, just get something to buffer there.
Oh! So low. That would have been a massive pickup. That Spore Crawler did so much damage to it. Now he has to warp in these stalkers a little bit further down. The Queen's going after it, and she gets the Warp Prism. That actually might be enough, but the drone's being pulled off the line. She can still afford to lose a few more. Neeb, target firing down.
Immediately chronoed out.
But the Immortal also got...
The Immortal.
The Immortal went down. It was at the front line. Now, is there still enough here for Scarlett? The answer's no.
Neeb still gets it. Game number 1 goes to the American Protoss.
One of those fun situations where Scarlett ends the game being up 10 supply. Still loses.
Yeah.
It was 10 drone supply, so that's why.
Drones.
Yeah, exactly.
I rushed to 100 SCVs and I'm like, ha! I got you! It's like, well, no, not really.
I mean, Scarlett just completely caught off guard. That was really off the back of Scarlett saying, okay, I'm going to hide my overlords because if you're going for that Stargate opening, I might be able to keep these overlords alive a little bit longer
Looks
or something.
like Neeb's not so easy to predict now, is he?
Not
everybody opens with the Stargate at the start of every game, Artosis. It's not how it works.
This is just him being vindictive about losing to Scarlett. It's like, well, I can just imagine that they actually had that conversation immediately afterwards, where she was like, well, yeah, you just do the same thing every game.
I imagine the first thing that she would say to him after that is, oh, you've learned a new build. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It burns a little bit.
Well.
Meanwhile, Scarlett's like nighting Swarm hosts and God knows what.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Scarlett still had some of that kind of weird stuff planned. This is the best of 7 especially.
I have to say, I don't know who the last person observing on this PC was, but the mouse speed is so fast right now. Did In-Control raise the mouse speed when he had to obs here? Now I know he doesn't like observing.
Maybe.
In-Control's mouse sensitivity. I'm just letting you guys know. I'm giving you the
sneak peek behind
the scenes. He's got a very sensitive mouse. Just letting you know.
He's just very sensitive around animals. He's got his dog. He's very sensitive about mice. Very sensitive with.
Just figured I'd let you all know that because it really was important to tell you that before we got into game number 2. Lost and Found is going to be that map. And yeah, not really anything else happened there. The build was an interesting attempt.
Yeah.
I liked it out of Neeb. And by attempt, I mean it worked.
It worked,
but that's like just one of those.
It was really close. It felt like this at some points maybe not working because War Prism going down, Immortal being on the front line of a lot of that attack.
I think scouting that also doesn't tell you everything you need to know because I was a little confused because he pulled 3 or 4 of his probes off of the assimilators. And I'm like, well, he doesn't have a Twilight, so he's not just going to mass zealots with.
Well, I think if you see 8 gateways, you know to cut workers sooner than 55, right?
No, that's not what I mean.
Okay. Just seeing scouting the gas?
That he pulled probes off of his gas. If you scout that and a bunch of gates are finishing, your brain would usually go to zealots.
Yeah.
Because that's what you would need to do to afford something like that.
I get what you're saying. But okay. Here we go. We're starting up in the top right-hand corner of the map of Lost and Found. It's the blue Protoss player from Ting. It's Neeb. Sitting up 1-0, our American representative.
Triple 2017 WCS Surrogate champion. The back to back to not back, then back again champion.
still tied for the most WCS circuit victories in a row.
Yep, that's going to be a hot button question next month as we go to Montreal. And in the bottom left, we have the red Zerg player. She is Scarlett.
Wouldn't it be amazing if Neeb is the one that shuts down Cyril's victory in Montreal? Just like, actually, no. You don't get to surpass me here.
If this movie's directed by M. Night Shyamalan, then yes.
Shyamalan?
I don't know how to say the name. Then yes. But otherwise, I mean, Cyril's reign of terror is, I don't think it's going to.
It's going to be a sunny day. It won't be much rain at all.
You know, the perfect way to make all foreign StarCraft fans really hate themselves is that Cyril will probably win Montreal, and then, just like Neeb last year,
he just goes out in the group stage.
Really rough time at BlizzCon.
Doesn't actually make it to BlizzCon.
And I hate to say that, but the only reason why I'm telling you that is because I am scared to get my hopes up again. I've been hurt.
You've been hurt?
I've been hurt. I wanted to believe. I had 100 t-shirts ready to order. A Neeb world champion. I was ready to get like tattoo on my arm.
You know what'd be so funny though? Is if Neeb gets to BlizzCon and actually just kills it at BlizzCon, and Cyril is the one that struggles.
Yeah, Neeb has an open redemption arc right now because Cyril has taken so much of the spotlight. Because Neeb was hot, so hot last year, and now it's Cyril, and people are like, well, Neeb hasn't even been, like, they've played and Cyril's just beating him. So it's like, yeah, it's like the new guy came in, beat up the hero, and it's like, well, you're gonna need to make some serious adjustments if you want to take back your crown. Cancels Warp Gate to start the Stargate just a little bit earlier, by the way. He wants that Stargate.
Yeah, not an uncommon move for pros players to go for. He does still decide to get the Adept first, though.
Yeah, he goes for a second Adept before starting Warp Gate. Cancels the second Adept and builds a Stalker before starting Warp Gate.
That is interesting. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, there's the Warp.
I guess he wants to, maybe this is sort of just a play where he wants to make sure he can take care of the Overlord, but he needs the high ground vision anyway, so I guess that's not really going to affect too much.
Yep.
Scarlett's still just going with this, and this is, I've seen more and more Zerg players doing this, where they just go with the one Overlord Scout. They don't really worry about getting the double Overlord Scout to check in the natural and the main for tech. I think it's a lot of it just because so many pros players are going for the Stargate that you kind of say, okay, you're either usually going Stargate or you're going Twilight Robo, and then there's the rare occasion there'll be a mix-up like that last game.
Yeah. Fear Dragon, I got a trick question for you. What does the Adept look like?
An Adept? Is that why it's a trick question?
He still got the, he forgot to turn off all the skins. There's still the Adept one on. I couldn't tell it was an Adept either though, it's okay.
Well, according to the rule that was created because of a situation with Scarlett, she has 3 minutes to say something about it.
Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
As a player that can be distracted so much by them, I was surprised it hadn't already been brought up, that's all. Oracle's coming out soon though. Very normal, Robo follow-up. And yeah, I mean, usually you try to use your handful of Adepts to take your next base, but I guess based on everything that you've told me, Fear Dragon, I expect Neeb to be a little more on the cautious side of things this series because apparently Scarlett's been just doing some wonky strategies.
It's kind of weird though, right? Because again, that's the reason why Scarlett keeps doing these wonky, weird strategies versus Neeb is that she'll do them, and it seems like Neeb still just kind of says, and the thing is, I think a lot of people would look at it and be like, oh, Neeb is just saying that he doesn't want to change or adapt. It's actually not that. It's that Neeb believes that he can still defend doing whatever he was doing before. So he would lose a game and be like, I think actually if I just control this better, I can defend it. And that's what made him a really great player last year, but it also is kind of what sort of became a bit of his downfall in a lot of those PvZs he would play where he kind of get bopped.
Neeb definitely felt like a much more flexible player. Back when he was able to use builds like that big Adepta all-in and whatnot. Yep. And then those builds kind of phased out really, really hard. And that was still post-Adepta nerf because you could still use them versus Zerg players, but they got so good with the roaches and the whatnots that it kind of fell off. And yeah, I can't tell that that's an Oracle, by the way. I'm just letting you know, Fear Dragon. You have to let me know.
That's a Phoenix, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sorry. I'm not salty.
Well, I mean, Scarlett can always click on these.
I just like the skins in this game a lot.
I
think
know.
They're really cool.
I know.
All right. So third base is being taken by Neeb, by the way.
Yep.
He's finally moving up, but he got all his tech, by the way, before that. Like Templar Archives is ready, Twilight's ready. He's getting his Archons out.
I mean, this is a pretty typical Protoss follow-up where you go for the Stargate and then you go Twilight Robo. You get up your high Templars, you go for the Archon potential drop, as he does have that Warp Prism out, and the two Archons.
By having the Stargate early, by using that opening, the thing that we always go back to and why Stargate openings are so popular is he can make that transition to the big air later on if he wants, which we also know Neeb is quite good with. Not a player to shy away from ye old carrier.
Oh no, he very much showed a little bit of that in that last series that he had versus Jon Snow.
Oracle. 5 kills.
That's really not too bad.
Not bad at all. Didn't lose too much health.
Arc also trying to be annoying over here.
Yeah, Prism lost most of the shield, so you're gotta be a little bit careful. You know what I never see people do, Fear Dragon?
Build a shield battery with the Warp Prism?
No. So you don't need the Observer to have the Archons kill the Creep Tumor.
Oh, you have an Archon attack?
Hellion. People never do the Hellion trick with the Archons. I've never seen it. I've never seen a player use 2 Archons without an Observer to kill a Tumor by standing on each other.
You can, I guess, but it's not always easy, I think, to find.
No, it's not.
You have to find the Tumors.
It's not with Hellions either. But I just figured I would tell you because it just occurred to me that I've actually never seen it.
It's a fair point. We haven't really seen any pros.
Oracle's hovering over the Roaches. There's 2 Immortals and 2 Archons. I don't know that you want to push this even with no force fields available. It's very risky.
With the Warp Prism here, I think that Neeb can just try and defend because it's not like his third base is being threatened right now, right?
It'd be easy for him to like pick up and drop the Immortals around, you know? And I love that he basically says, I'm going to see whatever you do by literally having the follow command from the air units onto those. It's just like, yeah, I know.
Okay, and Neeb has those 2 Immortals there, so he's not going to suffer any damage over by that third. The Oracle moves back in to see, okay, what are you actually up to? There's a Spire follow-up. Oh, Oracle gets picked off and does not end up spotting out.
Right? Some sort of like big Roach Corruptor kill all your ear.
Well,
over you. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so here's kind of the weird thing. I've seen some of the Corruptor play, but the funny thing is, if Neeb doesn't see the Spire, then this could actually go into. I've seen Zerg players go into Mutas fast enough, but the Spire is going to get spotted. Yeah. Phoenix is going to get very low as well, and yep, another Phoenix starts up.
In this situation, you see a Spire and no Hydra Den, you might as well just get your extra Stargates now, right?
I think you do that.
It's risky to do that, because like, as a Protoss, at some point, if you're given the opportunity to go into the big air, I feel like, why not?
I mean, the kind of interesting thing is that Scarlett could just not really do anything with the Spire. She's getting up to Infestation, but it could be prepared for Broodlords later.
My point is more so that your Phoenix goes in and you don't see any Hydralisk Den. So
I see.
Nothing is going to kill your army of Immortal Storm Archon until they get up to Hive, or if they go for air, you have a Stargate and you just build more Stargates, and there you go. That's the only thing that you have to really think about. But with that being said, it's going to be Swarm Hosts. 11 of them are coming out. Okay.
I mean,
when you said Swarm Host, I thought, geez, in my mind, Swarm Hosts were not going to be a thing this game, but I was wrong.
Okay, well, 4th base getting threatened by a handful of these Roaches, and it looks like they should. No, she's not going to actually commit to that. She would end up losing quite a few Roaches there, but she's drawing a lot of the army over here toward that 4th base location at the same time. A handful of Roaches. Is that actually going to be enough to break through? Oh, yeah, no.
One lane gets in.
That's a lot of shield batteries, actually.
Yeah. I don't mind it.
I really like that shield battery positioning.
Shield batteries are great. I love shield batteries. They are so good at defending. There's no reason.
A lot of Roaches going down
at all your bases.
Yeah. Okay, but the Swarmos are now out. There's 13 of them with 7 more on the way. She is. This is the thing about Scarlett. She's like a meme player. When she goes for something, she just goes all out on it. She doesn't just make 5, 10 Swarmos and mix it in with a Roach Hydra army. She just goes for 20 Swarmos. So let's do this.
I mean, the idea here is that you want to be able to get the big plays onto those other bases. Now,
that was not exactly the most ideal Swarm stun launch that I think she wanted with the first wave.
Yeah, Locusts are weird like that, but I'm glad that we're seeing the opportunity to get seized here, because you know what wouldn't care about fighting against this? Carriers, baby.
That is very true.
Bacon on the way, and I'm sure we'll see a couple of Stargates booted up very soon. Yep, 2 more added just now. In the back of the main base.
Okay, remember that Hive is done, and also the Spire's there.
Yeah, the Spire's still an option.
She can start getting ready for that transition herself and try to do a little bit more to either take out the 3rd base with the Swarm Host by moving down below that 3rd base, or just try and go after the 4th base again. If you right-click all those Locusts onto the Nexus, it's actually very difficult for a Protoss player to keep that Nexus alive. With that many,
you can still buy time. With the number of storms available for Neeb, like, he could use a storm on a Locust maybe if he felt that he really needed to. Also, you have to consider that Swarm Hosts take up, what is it, 4 supply apiece? So
they do.
The actual army that Scarlett can build including number of Hydras, is grossly limited.
It really is. The big thing, though, is that I think if you want to deal with the Swarmos to try and prevent them from just going for like a Nexus snipe, you can just go for like, let's build a lot of cannons and shield batteries. The other thing is you need to maybe zone out the Swarmos, but here we go. Locusts are being unlaunched onto that Nexus, and they're actually going to right-click down the Immortals.
Yep. And okay, so the Immortals become a big priority target here as the Locust Wave gets pushed back. The rest of the army is going to come in from the top side.
It's a lot of cancels.
Battery not there to save that Immortal, but this one looks like it should be saved by the rest of the units. As the carrier comes out, I was looking at the building animation on it. I think he may have the super, super badass carrier skin on too, which is actually.
But how will she know if it's a Void Ray or a carrier?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, it does seem like with all these Swarmos on cooldown, Scarlett also is not really going to be moving into that main base to get the scout out. She hasn't really actually scouted out the main base for a long time.
Yeah, Warp Prism's going to be hitting this base on the south side as Graviton Catapult starts up. We have +1 air weapons finishing. The Locusts come down, but with this many batteries, it's hard to focus things down because you can focus the batteries as well. And the Big Daddy carrier's coming out, by the way. He does have the super badass skin on it, just letting you know.
All right.
I can't wait to take a look at those carriers.
We're gonna just savor it. We're gonna let it sit.
We'll let the
that's what the Fear Dragon observing is.
Build with anticipation.
Build with anticipation. You guys will get to see it for the big fight.
Today, everybody watching learned how passionate Nathanius is about the skins. I think they're one of the best parts of this game.
Okay, we'll take a look.
All right. So we got, I mean, this army for Protoss is about as good as you can want. Yeah, the Amon Armada carriers. I can't tell what it is either, but it looks so cool.
It looks like they have crystals or something.
Yeah, it's like void shards from the campaign and co-op.
They got the little eruption.
Super cool. The interceptors look like it too. The interceptors leave behind like these little trails, like Alucard in Symphony of the Night. Super, super badass.
I got a couple of these Adepts running over to that third base. There are a few Spine Crawlers here that should be able to handle those without really... Well, unless the Adepts just stay over here, in which case these Spine Crawlers will do absolutely nothing. But this is that point where Scarlett's like, oh, I need some Corruptors right now.
You just back up from this? Because all you want to do is use your carriers and keep the Archons below the carriers.
High Templars are going to get sniped off by these Swarmos Locust Waves.
It's all good. You just got to get the carrier number up, have your Archons underneath to keep the Corruptors away. Because right now, the Locusts really want to get the Archons, but because of the Mothership, now you need to have detection there. The detection has to be there.
And that detection is going to die right now, so Scarlett hopefully has some more Overseers, and she does have plenty of them behind this, but it's going to that sort of split map situation. Viper's going to be made so that she can pull that Mothership well out of the way and allow those Hydras to actually pick that off as well, some of those Queens. Spore Cars also being made. This is getting to that split map situation. Now, the funny thing is, I feel like I've seen Scarlett win a lot more of these split maps. So, whoa, hold that thought. She's just going ham on this. She's going to go after the Mothership.
On it, but you got to be so careful. Getting the Mothership is nice because it gets rid of the cloaking, which means the Locust can finally fight again.
She lost a lot more than Neeb did, though, for that.
Yeah, you still don't have an easy answer for the carriers. And as long as the Archons and the High Templar are there, the carriers are so hard.
That's it.
GG, Neeb.
Wow.
Takes game number 2.
Really surprised Scarlett actually decided to commit there. I guess she felt like she needed to defend those bases and keep Neeb further back, but it's sort of weird because I've seen Neeb and Scarlett play that split map situation in late game, hyper late game PvZ a bunch of times, and usually I actually see Scarlett kind of showing a bit more understanding or something, or a bit more experience in that situation.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, like Neeb got a good couple of kills with the first Oracle Harass, and then he made his transition like very safely into the Archons. He got, like I said, everything before he even took the third base, so there was no point where he didn't have that. The 3 shield batteries in front of the natural expansion, he parks his army on the high ground because the choke point to get into that third on the low ground, the choke point by the rocks is so small. You're like, I'm just going to hold the most vulnerable point, which is this wide open arc. The 4th base that he takes is kind of exposed-ish, but because he reinforces that choke in the southeast with the photon cannons, with the shield batteries, he's able to very easily move all of his army to the northwest to protect that 4th base when the roaches come. And at that point, Scarlett's like, well, I go Swarm Hosts, and because the Swarm Hosts don't, unless they really, to me it feels like Terran versus Zerg when the Swarm Hosts come at you. If the Locusts don't hit you with like a gotcha and kill like half your stuff immediately, Locusts are not, they're not that good. Like, the number of people that I see like complain about them on forums and stuff is just absurd. Like Swarm hosts are not the end all be all unit.
Yeah.
In StarCraft.
They do have some trouble with it.
Someone's like, yeah, but you're wasting energy for free units. It's like, yes, while I build carriers that will kill everything else you could build.
I know, I'm wasting that energy that is also technically in the same sense free. It acts like a cooldown where the energy has to regen.
Yeah.
But
as long as but the thing is, you would have built the High Templar anyway. So Neeb getting a good core army together that could deal with this. Now, if Neeb had just played like Mass Zealot, like Immortal.
Yeah, then you're on a timer. Then you're on a timer.
You can't do too much, but by getting a well-rounded army comp and even still having the Phoenix that can help bully those back a little bit, it's really good.
Yeah.
And I think there was something like 20 Swarm hosts, which is almost, I think she had almost 100 supply of Swarm hosts, which means if you have 80 drones, you get 10 Hydras.
Are Swarm hosts 3 supply?
I thought they were 4.
4?
I don't know. I don't know if they ever reduced it. But as far as I'm aware, it's like it may.
Yeah, that is a lot.
I don't want to say 3. I thought that was like the whole point with them being able
that
to
is a lot of supply then, though.
The Locust while they're up. But
okay, well, we get ready to move into game number 3 then, and Neeb looking pretty strong in this series so far. Whatever problems he had facing off versus Scarlett earlier, seems like it's not really a problem right now.
Yep, really, really good play so far by Neeb, and good variance in the builds. You know?
Yeah.
Most Protoss versus Zerg matches, when you're watching like really high-level players.
Of the 2 games we've seen, he has not done the same build twice.
Yeah. That is saying a lot, Fear Dragon. That's saying a lot.
I just
Not
find
many
it funny.
Protoss players are willing to just open with a Robo because they know their opponent won't scout them because they're scared of a Stargate opening.
Whenever these 2 play, though, there's just so many small little mind games or history behind all this stuff. Like, for example, that Spire that, remember, Scarlett went for a Spire.
Very early.
She went for the Spire, and then she didn't do anything with it because she just went into the Swarm host. But very well, that actually could have been her saying, okay, I don't think that Neeb's going to scout this. And even though I know you open up with Stargate, just because we've played a bunch of games and maybe I don't go for mutas that often, I think that Neeb is not going to prepare for this, and he's going to underestimate this. So there's all these weird mind games that go on between these 2 where you might look at this and be like, oh, well, this is just how I should play my ZVP. No, you know, there's some weird stuff going on between these 2 players.
Yeah. I still
take it with a grain of salt.
I still like the idea of opening with the Corruptors before the Swarm host, just because with the Zealot Archon Immortal, it is quite hard to kill like 15 Corruptors if they just all come in and just immediately snipe a base or like your Stargates or something like that.
Yeah, it's
which we have
tough.
seen.
It's tough
a lot.
though, because around the time you get out those Corruptors is around the same time that the Protoss would just go in and make a push. So you can snipe a base and they'll just kill everything.
I'm not saying Corruptors are like the end all be all.
Oh yeah.
I just think that there's the Swarm hosts were not going to do anything against that, and they didn't. So anyway, we're loaded into 16 bits in the southwest. We have the blue Protoss. He is Neeb.
Doing something I like, going for that low ground expansion, by the way, down over here, instead of over just for the natural. Let's spawn down here up here in the top right-hand corner of the map. We have our red Zerg player from Toland's Lions. It is Scarlett. Okay, so the
scouts. Yep. Then not a whole lot to see. Hatch, gas, pool. These are the things that Zergs use as tools.
But still
to a mid-game.
Still important to get that scout out if you're going to go for this kind of expansion with this very far or a very long wall that you have to try and get finished up.
Yeah, but all you do is finish this up and then you've got 3 bases.
Exactly.
Baby.
So you just want to be careful that you don't die to some kind of Ling flood across the map or something, some early pool.
You know, Fear Dragon, we talked about Swarm Host. This is one of those maps that
oh yeah,
we've seen a lot of it on. It's actually really good. The Nidus Swarm Host, Scarlett had a pretty sick match on this map, utilizing those. And since then, I see it a little bit in ZVT as well.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, when you said Swarm Host, that's what I was
This is a fantastic map for it. If you're going to do it, this is probably one of the best maps for it.
Yeah, I actually really like Acid Plant for it as well, because there's a decent couple of like air spaces that you can use towards the main. When we get to the next map pool, I hope to see it more, because I think Cerulean Falls is one of those maps that you can use them on, with the big gap into that space. Also, you can do a little bit of it on Fracture.
I want to pretend like I know what you're talking about, but I've only Cannon Rushed on the new map so far. So I haven't gotten that far. I'm like, where is the third base on Cerulean Falls?
All right, well, it's going to be a Stargate opening, so Neeb is sticking to what works. I mean, this is an amazing map for Stargate. You got airspace behind that bottom right base that Scarlett has. You have airspace behind the top left base that Scarlett has. Being able to use Phoenix easily. You don't really need to commit to like having the oracles that can go out and save your third, because your third is already secure. And because all of those things ring true for the Zerg, you still have that opportunity to defend against air units by having the Stargate early.
Okay, Overlord gonna get up to that high ground. Stalker not gonna be able to snipe it off anymore.
Don't see a crazy amount of Stalkers early PvZ. I don't see that many of them.
It was a Adept Stalker. I think Neeb really seems to like the Adept Stalker opening, just to push back the, because even if you don't kill
on this map, you don't need 3 Adepts to like clean up lings to take your third base, right?
Oh yeah.
Because the Stalker becomes a little bit more viable in that sense, that having it to deny scouting is more valuable. Because what are you gonna do with Adepts here anyway?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit about that. It's a little bit about the just small little bit of extra gas. But yeah, you're right. Having the 2 Adepts is a really important aspect of taking your third base usually. Sporecaller is going to be coming down for Scarlett as that first Oracle is out, but it's just chilling at home.
Yeah, I don't mind it. You don't know. You want to be careful about getting link flood. Like the Adept was able to get a scout, which is...
I like that Scarlett already moved that Overlord away. She knows that that Oracle was going to be popping out and ready to provide high ground vision.
Yeah, so good save there. Twilight Council coming in, 2 extra gateways. Questions I ask myself at night, Fear Dragon. When's Neeb's going to take his third? Is he going to go straight into charge, get a Forge, +1, get a bunch of Zealots?
With how Scarlett is playing now, he is sending the probe down there, so it looks like he is going to go for the third. I was going to say, with how Scarlett sends her Overlords around the map and how she just keeps sending only 1 out, this is a really nice map to fake a third and just go for an all-in in some ways for that reason. But at the same time, I guess it is kind of a hard map because you really only have 1 base you can actually push into.
Yeah, Neeb comes in, grabs only 2 drones, and one of the Oracles almost dies. So that's not good, but it's going to be Resonating Glaives and a Warp. Or it's going to be a Robo Bay, Robo Prism, Robo Facility. I wanted to say Warp Prism, Robo Bay, and Robo Facility all at the same.
You got there. It was a journey, but you got there.
Yeah. What if we just like 3 base Mega Adept all in? How sick would that be?
Sporecaller. Nice focus fire from Scarlett. She actually
that one gets another 2.
She actually takes the Sporecaller and focus fires down the weakened Oracle, which is really nice. Don't see actually that many Zerg players.
Big brain plays being made here, Fear Dragon.
That's that little bit extra damage. It's only 2 more workers picked off, but there are more Adepts warped in. Spire coming up pretty fast here, though, Nate. This is much faster to Spire than the last game.
Yeah, I wonder if it's for the same reasons as the last game, like if it's not going to be utilized in a serious capacity. I mean, I wonder if she's going to die. Going for like a few mutas or corruptors. I don't know how I feel about mutas because it's easy to build Phoenix and they wreck them.
I mean, I'm really wondering if she's just going to die now.
We got the Warp Prism, a bunch of Adepts, but Neeb's immediately getting 2 extra Stargates behind all of this, so he's already thinking about calling in his friend, Armada.
That is not what Scarlett is going to want to have to find out about, but we'll see. Does she survive that long? There's only a handful of Roaches out right now, and this is a lot of Adepts. They're going to be shading into the main base. Lings, a couple of them have already started going down. The Roaches, actually, even the Queens are starting to die right now, but they're not actually getting that many drones just yet.
Yeah, we see the Adepts are doing what they can, running away towards that base as the shade finishes. They make their way out. The extra 2 Stargates are about to finish. The Oracles came in and helped kill a few, and he should be aware of the hatchery on the east side. I think Neeb knows about it.
God.
That Adept just somehow is just...
Oh, he hasn't seen that Spire. Are you kidding me?
Okay, now
there it is. Oh.
He knows.
I know. It's so funny, too, because I'm freaking out, but really, he's already going triple Phoenix, so it's like, cool, I will adjust my plan.
I love it.
To continue going triple Phoenix.
Yep. And with +1, like, the Corruptors aren't going to have fast Carapace or anything. So Neeb could bully or air control very quickly, like 3 Phoenix at a time. We talk about what makes Corruptors, like, good against them, you know, the range, the health, the built-into armor, but you know, Phoenix, it kind of turns into that, like, that Adept versus Roach thing, where when you get enough of them, they do start killing them, and it can snowball the same way.
I'm not gonna lie, Nate. I really think that Scarlett's in a pretty bad position right now. She's
taking a beating, and she hasn't done anything with the 4th base yet, right?
No, fourth base has just not really been mined.
There's a drone.
Single drone.
That's
it's mined 10
there.
minerals so far. It's going to go for the 15 minerals.
Look at that bad boy go. Cha-ching. That's what we need. I want a worker skin that has a cha-ching sound effect every time it brings money in. Whenever I look at my base,
cashier.
Whenever I look at my base, I want to see dollar bills flying out of my workers, all right? It doesn't matter if I'm losing the game. I look back at my main, I'm like oversaturated because I pulled everything out of my natural because I got
Nate,
like all
it's
in.
not money, it's minerals. They're different. They're resources being used. And
I don't care.
Was that one of the Phoenix getting picked off? Okay.
Well, Zerg also aren't robot units, okay? So there you go. I think that was the prism, by the way, that was grabbed.
Ah, the war prism.
Okay. The Phoenix bolt.
Well, Fleet Beacon coming on up.
And +1 for air is almost ready.
Yep.
So really you just got to get
to Oracle that. Gonna go down.
You're really just trying to get to that number of Phoenix where you're like, I feel comfortable trying to attack this. Because at this point, that's what you got to do. Yeah, I think Neeb's feeling that. His +1 air is about to finish up in about 10 seconds. So not super concerned, but this is going to come and pick up all the drones, force the Corruptors to come out and fight. And it's a little rough. You can see, even with this many Phoenix, those Corruptors hang tough.
Yeah.
But get Anion Pulse Crystals so that those Phoenix get the extra range. And then now that +1 is done, you are going to see these Phoenix do a lot better. They attack in sets of 2, so I think by default, what is it, like 5 damage versus normal units?
You know, I forget.
Corruptor would make it 3, 6 per volley.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like very much, but the +1 weapons is going to help out quite a bit, like you said. The problem is Scarlett is getting out, I feel like, enough Corruptors.
Phoenix range is the key here. You don't want to trade.
It helps, but honestly, it makes it so that your Phoenix have the same range as the Corruptors. So yes, you can technically kite them relatively well, but it's also not like, it's not a perfect situation. It's not like versus Mutas where it's just the Phoenix can technically avoid ever getting hit.
You're right, but I never get to see this, so I'm just kind of enjoying it.
No,
we have Mass Phoenix versus Corruptor, Roach. And Immortals are still being built behind this, by the way, guys. +1 charge. You will need those to deal with the Zerglings, with the Roaches, with the Hydras. It is kind of weird that Neeb ended up basically playing chicken with Scarlett in regards to the whole Stargate situation. Because obviously, I don't think Neeb wanted to have to build this many Phoenix.
Ooh, Scarlett's getting really aggressive with these Corruptors right now.
Neeb's hope was to actually just get on top of all of this.
Yeah, that was the last Oracle, by the way.
Now this does help. We can see those laser bangs.
There are just so many Phoenix now, you can actually start killing them.
Yep, well, that's what I'm talking about. You want to hit it's the tipping point. It's the tipping point where Adepts go from being like bad versus Roaches to being good, and that's what we've hit with the Phoenix. The Phoenix hit the tipping point where they can actually kill the Corruptors. They still take a while to do it because there's a lot of Corruptors, and Corruptors have 200 health. But Neeb doesn't care because he doesn't need the Phoenix for anything else.
Nope, and he is also winning that ground war because there were so many Corruptors made. There's not that many Roachers.
He's going to kill the Corruptors, and then you just go attack this army, and the Phoenix could lift up half of it.
Yeah, this is not all the Phoenix, by the way. It's just some of the Phoenix that are remaining. There is the rest of them.
Over to not actually lose all the Phoenix. Grab the Hydras. Boom, boom, chitty, chitty, bang, bang. And knock them down. That fourth base is under so much fire. More Corruptors are going to come out, but those are not going to kill the ground army, which is now what needs to be replaced for Scarlett.
And at this point, Scarlett is just starting to bleed out a little bit too much. That ground force sticking around a little too long, and Scarlett only really just making a handful more Corruptors, which are going to be somewhat useful. Then 7 Hydras and 2 Lings is actually not really enough.
+2 airs on the way. First carrier has been started.
Drones are being picked away at now, and Scarlett going to start losing a bit of that economy. More Zealots and Mass coming forward, and Neeb is going to go up 3-0 versus Scarlett.
What a weird, what a weird game. Like, that was just, that's one of those things that you love to think about where you're like, conceptually, Phoenix build really fast.
Yeah.
They are similar or the same price as Corruptors. The Corruptors are 150, 100. And just because of their mobility, it's like Corruptors can never run from Phoenix. Like if you attack with Corruptors out on the map, you know, it's like when your medevacs get caught or something like that. I'm going to analogize everything to Terran because I play Terran. Sorry, guys, it's just the way it is. But when you think about it, you're like, well, the Phoenix aren't that great. But what if I get the early attack upgrade, and then I build so many of them, I kill all the Corruptors, and then the Zerg has nothing that can deal with me because 25 Phoenix are going to kill any of the Hydras he makes. I'm going to go kill its Overlords, you know. And that was kind of what we got to see there. But Scarlett did the smart thing, or she did the correct thing, excuse me, where it was just build more Corruptors, and then the Phoenix weren't really able to do that. But at the end of the day, she ended up just having 30 Corruptors that eventually did die to the Phoenix. So.
You know, there is a golden rule, Nate, that I always love about StarCraft, which is if you make the incorrect unit to counter someone, but you make enough of them, you'll still probably win.
Yeah.
That's great.
My favorite example is seeing the adepts in that opening as a good. He didn't go crazy overboard with it, but when you have that many adepts, it's like, oh, 1 or 2 roaches come over, slam them down.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Game 4 is going to be coming to you guys after a short break before we move into match point of the Grand Finals. See you guys then. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS North American Challenger. We're here in the Grand Finals, once again, ready to move into game number 4. Nate is joining me here for this PvZ showdown.
You better believe I'm joining you here, man.
We only got potentially 1 game left.
Well, with how Neeb's been playing, but I heard that he finally turned off all his skins, so his magical power to win may be gone, Fear Dragon. I heard we finally went through. We had one
got
of
that last skin off.
The last one, the Adept one. He still had that Adept Collector's Edition skin on. It's off, and we are ready to go into Darkness Sanctuary. No skins, Darkness Sanctuary, PvZ. I don't know how he could possibly win.
This is certainly not going to be the usual game, as I don't get to see that many games on this map these days.
No, we almost never get to see this map played.
We've seen Redshift more today than we've seen this map.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
I think we saw Redshift like 3 times.
Yeah, we saw it a lot.
Okay. Well, we're going to be starting down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Protoss player, setting up 3-0 from Ting. It is Neeb. Alex Sunderhalf.
Sunderhaft. That's how I'd say.
You know, if you still played Terran, you could make Sunder jokes about removing armor with the anti-armor missile.
No.
No?
Don't ever repeat that ever again, okay? That's a free casting tip from me to you. In the top left, his opponent, our Red Zerg. She is Scarlett.
there is going to be a good old earlier pool. Not quite a super early pool, not a 12 or 13-12 or something like that, but it is going to be a pool first. And this is maybe after scouting out and seeing that probe, trying to block that hatchery, throwing down the proxy pylon, which is going to get canceled.
Noise.
Scarlett does make it there in time.
And the hatch is on the way. So, the big question, I guess, becomes, what's Neeb gonna do? Because Neeb has really been in the driving seat this whole match. We talk about it, the first game, opening up with that's just that crazy 2-base all-in, right? And it works so well. Just absolutely crushed Scarlett. Then we go to game number 2, where Neeb kind of played a more crisp, normal style, handled the Swarm host extremely well. Scarlett never got a good punch in. And then that last game where Neeb hit with the really fast resonating Glaive Adepts, went very smoothly into Mass Phoenix, but built enough Immortals and Charge Zealots underneath to close things out once the Corruptors were dealt with. Neeb has not really dropped the ball in this series at all.
Well, you know, we'll see how things go, because it is a very fast roach horn coming out from Scarlett. I think that she is feeling tired, she's feeling ready, and she says, either I'm gonna win this game quickly or I'm gonna lose this series quickly. One of the two will happen, and either way, she'll get to go to bed.
Look at that upgrade. My goodness.
Burrow, wow.
Oh my goodness.
This isn't, I haven't seen this for a little bit. I think it's been a few months, but this was a cute little thing because a lot of Protoss players will go for that Stargate. By the way, that Stargate at the front, which means it's powered by one pylon. Same with the Gateway. Just something to note. We'll see how things go.
See how the Adept goes back to the normal gold color? There you go, that's how you know it's a normal one.
You know, the funny thing is, even when the Adept will get if it gets all the way into the main base and sees the roaches coming, you'll know the roaches are coming, but you don't necessarily know that it's going to be Burrow. That's a really hard thing to figure out.
Well, you have to ask yourself, it's like, is Scarlett getting another queen?
Roach.
Or, because that's the only, that's it.
Yeah.
The only two things that make the hatchery wiggle and jiggle. But it could actually also be Overlord speed, right? So it's either the queen or the upgrade, but it could be like, oh.
Well, he's also not going to get to the main base just yet, so he's still not going to know. Burrow's going to be finished by the time he ever even gets there.
Well, safety Void Ray is on the way, and I think that's about as much as you can do here if you're Neeb.
Ooh.
Short of a full wall off, which I would also say full wall off is really smart here, because if you can completely block them from getting in and burrowing, which, by the way, Neeb has done, what good is the ability to turn invisible if you can't get anywhere that being invisible would benefit you?
Yeah, a little surprised that Neeb only stuck around with one pylon for such a long time. He's going to start throwing down some more now.
The battery's going to finish soon too, and he can use that to try and help it.
There's the Burrow.
Is that Void Ray going to finish?
Okay, the pylon's going to finish up, so he's still going to get it out soon. But it is a bit of a delay here, which does give Scarlett a little bit of an advantage, and we end up seeing all these roaches burrow.
Void Ray goes into monster mode. And yeah, I'd like to remind all of you watching from home that Neeb can have that shield battery right-click any of his buildings to regenerate their shields if he really feels the need to. So that Stargate is not super dead in this situation.
Oh, I think Scarlett, she knows that there's going to be an Oracle next, so she's spreading out her burrowed roaches so that she can't have all of her roaches.
Neeb starts a robo. I like that because of this. Neeb's like, I'm going to send Oracle across the map. What are you going to do with these roaches anyway? You're going to unburrow them, let the roach, what are they going to do? Smack trade if against energy? You're going to trade your burrow energy against the shield battery energy? No.
Sport Crawler not finished yet, Nate. The Queen is going to do its best to try and zone out this Oracle, but that DPS is not quite enough to prevent it from getting some...
That's one way to keep your workers alive.
Yeah, and Oracle already starting to run out of energy and running out of hit points. The roaches did back up. And I think that we have...
spread around everywhere, yeah. The safety Void Ray is like, well, you could send it out to troll the Overlords. Yeah, he does, so...
Yep.
Get something for your money.
Okay, Oracle gonna move over.
6 gates being added, FYI, with a warp prism.
Yeah, and I mean, I really don't hate that response just because you know that your opponent
hurt her own economy so much to do this.
Invested a lot into that. The Queen is also not in the main base, so...
Neeb just needs to remember to get an observer with this.
Oh, that third base
that
also.
Could get awkward.
Oh, the third base. Kind of in a weird spot.
Prismatically align me.
They're going to do a lot of damage to that third, because the thing is, even if he doesn't kill it, if he damages it a lot, it's still going to be annoying a big target for later.
Yep, big target, and if transfuses get used on it, then the transfuses will be used on other units, Fear Dragon.
There you go. A couple of queens should be enough to push this back. I don't even think that Scarlett will use the transfuses there. She doesn't need to.
No, not yet. Hatch still has plenty of life on it. So the Observer's being built. Got to make sure that that's rallied out after the Prism, because I do think that burrow shenanigans are something to be worried about if enough roaches get added for a game of whack-a-mole. And here Neeb is. He's got a lot of stuff. The Oracle does have enough energy for one revelation.
And it's gonna actually turn a stasis board. A little surprising there,
but 3 drones with it.
I mean, there is still the potential for some Burrow Micro, but it just doesn't seem like Scarlett actually has enough for it to really matter that much. Even with the Void Ray getting very low on hit points and might even get picked off, although the Queens have all been picked off, so maybe it will survive.
Void Ray, it's not that strong here, Drake.
It's pretty strong in this situation, Nate.
There's no PEDs in StarCraft, but the force fields are dropped in the mineral line. The workers are all stuck. Goodness, GG Neeb just swats through your WCS America champion, the last one of the year.
He's back, baby.
He's now good. Once again the 2-time for Challenger at least.
Neeb, good old Neeb, taking that victory, earning himself.
He made that look easy.
Yeah, that solid, slick 4-0 victory over Scarlett. Gets to go to bed now.
This wouldn't have surprised me if Neeb was in New York and he's like, let's play on US Central because I want to play on an American server because it's WCS America. Well, but he's in Korea. They played on the Asian server.
It also wasn't even latency things that Neeb was doing better. It was a lot of decision-making stuff that he was doing better.
Yep. After seeing Scarlett beat True on America, I'm like, okay, well, I can definitely see how Neeb playing on like a more even playing field, like Scarlett should be totally able to win this. Yeah. Like, it should be close, but doesn't end up being that way. And Neeb just looks really damn good.
I'm really pumped right now for Montreal.
I'm more excited for Montreal.
I'm really pumped.
I've been a Neeb fanboy forever, and it's kind of like it hurts my soul whenever he loses a game. Not because I'm like, oh no, but I'm just like, I want to see my boys.
He's had a rough year.
I want to see my American players do big things. And he hasn't had a rough year, by the way. We don't need to get into that right now. He's actually won a ton of money in non-WCS tournaments, just like Scarlett this year.
Compared to last year.
In WCS, he's had a rough go at it.
But all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's recap the day as we see how WCS North American Challenger has shaped up. Our last one for 2018. Once again, Neeb going to be your champion. Scarlett still putting up a pretty good fight and getting up to that grand finals, taking down True as well as Semper with a 3-0.
Great games by Scarlett, but Neeb comes out on top. He won the first season of Challenger this year, and now he wins the last. Gets himself a few more WCS points. Always nice, especially considering the performances that he's had this year. That is something he really needs.
Yep. Masa, True, Scarlett, and Neeb also getting those top 4 spots, so you will be seeing them at WCS Montreal, and you'll be seeing them in that group stage 3 as they get the direct seating there, they get the flight and everything paid for.
Montreal's gonna be so fun.
Just 2 weeks, guys. Just 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I cannot wait. I hope to see some of you guys there. It's been a blast doing Challenger with you all year, Fear Dragon.
It's been really, really.
I get to hang out with you so much.
I know.
It's awesome.
I feel like I got to know you better.
Maybe a little too much.
Maybe a little too much.
Maybe a little too much. Can I get one more America out of you?
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for WCS America. We'll see you guys next time.
That's my boy.
WCS Montreal. Take care.